Stop it.
Oh, gosh. I'm Chelsea.
I'm Emily, and this is Mom Needs a Minute.
6 times.
Yay! This is why we need a minute.
Ah.
The
You know
leg
what,
has
though?
been the leg has been terrible trying to get this started tonight.
Well, we also were fine for a solid, 3 minutes of just dinking around because that's who we are. And then all of a sudden, when we started actually recording, it was like, no,
You
not
freaking
today.
thought. You thought.
Yeah. Woo. Oh, man. So why do you, actually need a minute?
Oh boy. Okay. So, yesterday. No, like Thanksgiving-ish, I took my Jeep in to get my heat fixed, right? Because my heater wasn't working and my check engine light was on, and they told me like around Thanksgiving that it was just my coolant. So they refilled my coolant and the light turned off and they charged me $150 for that. And then the very next day it came back on. And so Patrick called and was like, hey, you guys didn't fix the fucking problem. And so they finally got me in yesterday. And I was there for 2.5 hours. They called Patrick instead of calling me or coming out and talking to me in the waiting room. So that was fun. And while I was out in the waiting room, some guy was talking as I was writing my story for tonight. He asked if I write in cursive or like in print. And I said, I kind of do a combination of the two. I like really
Depends on the word.
Yeah. I really tie them all together, like letters together a lot. So I said, I do a combination of both. And he goes, oh, that's okay. So he goes, so you know how to write cursive? I said, yeah, but I know that like my 7th grader has not been taught how to write cursive. So they're not teaching it in schools, which I knew was where he was going with that. And then this lady across the room goes, who's not even a part of our conversation, goes, you look like you could be in 7th grade. You don't have a 7th grader. And I was like, I do, though. He's taller than me. Like, I don't know what you want from me. Which I thought was extremely rude because it's like, you're not a part of this conversation at all.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that it was my thermometer had just completely shut down in my car and they had to replace that. So after they talked to Patrick, it was like another hour before they were done. So I sat at the dealership for almost 3 hours. Getting my car fixed.
That.
At least I have heat in my car now. So
yeah.
So
especially now.
It's better, I guess. But then, so, okay. Then, was it also yesterday? No, it's today. So, I was trying to think. I thought there was something else that was yesterday that I was going to tell you about, but I can't remember it now. So, then today, I go into the liquor store and I grab myself a case of Claws and the lady goes, hey, can I see your ID? And I, yeah, no problem. And I take it out and I hand it to her. She runs it through their little scanny thing. And she goes, there's no way you're 34. And I said, yes, I am. And she goes, you look like you could be 14. And I was like, come on. Why do I look like a friggin' middle schooler to all these people who I have not asked for information? Like, I don't want your opinion.
Yeah, man, you're preaching to the choir over here.
I was so annoyed. And she goes, well, you must have a really good, you must take really, really good care of yourself. And I was like, I am here at noon on a Wednesday buying a pack of White Claws. Do you think I take that great of care of myself? But okay.
The secret is no skincare. Lotion. Thank you. And face wash. That's my skincare routine, man.
Face wash and sunscreen. It's usually what I put on.
I don't even do that. I don't go outside enough anymore.
Well, I mean, I work in a kitchen with no windows, so I don't really go outside very often either, but...
Yeah. I mean, okay, so on the plus side, kinda, at least one of our kids look identical to us, so it kind of, when we have them, they're like, oh, okay, but it still looks weird. We look like teen moms.
Well, yeah, Bentley and I went grocery shopping this morning. And we got looked at a couple times.
But he doesn't look like you.
No, I know, but he called me mom out loud, and I saw somebody like turn around and like, are you sure? Like, what the hell? But yeah, he called me mom, and so somebody turned around and looked at him, and yeah, so it's annoying. And then, oh, also today, I was at work and I was taking my sweatshirt on and off, and I was trying to put it back on, and it got caught on my nose ring. So I'm in my kitchen by myself with my hands up over my head trying to figure out how it's caught on my nose ring to free myself, just hoping nobody else comes into the kitchen. I was like, I can't explain this to anybody. I ended up having to like flip myself upside down so that I could just like pull it basically up instead of trying to like fiddle with it, because I was like, I can't get my head out of this fucking thing because it's caught on my nose.
Oh man. Oh, is it your double hoop?
Yeah. I got
You haven't learned your lesson yet?
No. God no.
Oh. Fair enough though. Well.
I like it. It's cute.
It is, but that just gives me PTSD. I can't do it.
It doesn't actually get stuck too terribly often.
But when it does, it's stuck.
And it hurts. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Buddha-Bella baby boy. Come here. Oh, God, you little fuck. Come here. Okay, well.
Bye.
Toulouse is only interested in staying around my feet and not coming up and making an appearance.
He's not the sick one.
He was the sick one, yes.
He was. Anymore. Okay.
Yes. He was like skin and bones, and now he's got a Buddha belly.
Yeah, because there's a boy and a girl, right?
Mm-hmm. Toulouse and Georgia.
Okay. That's what I thought. I don't know, man. My cat's name is Meatloaf, so I can't judge names anymore.
He's named Toulouse simply because of the Aristocats, so.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, you could name your cat anything, whether the gender is male or female.
Oh, yeah. You know, well, that's like our farm cat named Microwave.
Yeah, there's that. Well, the farm
cat actually was not. We did not name Microwave.
But you would, because I would.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have just because I wouldn't have thought of it.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That is fair.
Oh, God. What? Can you see that? Maverick
that is that's Maverick
chopping wood.
I would love to know how long it takes him. I need to know.
I think.
Oh, God.
I don't think he's getting through there. Well, actually, he is. He sure is. Look at that.
He is.
There he goes.
I think Pat started it though.
Oh, look, Bentley's doing it now too.
Okay, well, yeah.
Okay, but look, he's doing it way more pitifully than Maverick was. It's gonna
be there a while.
He's not gonna get anywhere with that.
There's no anger in that kid's body.
Not an ounce. No.
Oh. Okay, well, he gave up. It fell over.
Oh, he didn't give up though. He went back to it.
Oh my God.
It's gonna take him 2 years to get through it at that rate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's far too nice to everything to even split wood.
He just does not have an ounce of aggression in him.
Nope, not at all. Which is
Unless
okay.
it comes to his brother.
That's a sibling thing.
Yeah. I don't interfere very often anymore, so.
Nah, you don't really have to. They're old enough to figure it out themselves.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much. So, it's not my problem anymore. Why do you need a minute?
Nope. Why do I need a minute? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like Adderall's not Adderalling anymore.
Mm.
Do you feel like that?
Mm-mm. I took some this morning. I don't take mine every day, though. So I took some this morning, and I think it really helped. I can tell it's wearing off now, but...
I can tell mine is, too. I don't know what it is. It just feels like lately it's just not... It's just not there.
So
that's been annoying. Seasonal depression's been seasonal depressioning, and yeah.
Seriously, tell me about it.
Yeah, my motivation to literally do anything has been crap. Doesn't matter what it is.
Same. I've been telling
But,
myself I
I
need
mean,
to put my laundry away for like a week and a half now.
well, and I've been telling myself to edit all the videos, and I haven't done it. And it's easy. It's not, ouch. It's not something super hard or super, like, crappy, like
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, for example. Like, you don't want to clean. It's just, I just can't find that, like, you know,
I think it's supposed to get warmer
I
this
don't know.
week.
I think so too. I don't know. We'll see.
Hopefully it's. You know what? I think it's actually supposed to be nicer next week. Never mind. Forget this week. Forget what I said. Monday on
Yeah,
is supposed to be
it's
pretty
supposed to
Sunday or
snow.
sunny. Hmm. I could live without it.
It is what it is in the winter.
Hmm.
Yep.
Any
Yeah,
other
I don't know.
reasons?
I can't even really.
Okay.
I think that's about it. I mean, I'm kind of glad that all the holidays, birthdays, and everything's all done because that was
Yeah.
taking me down.
I can't imagine having Nolan with a no December birthday and then Michael with a January birthday. That just sucks.
Literally an exact month apart.
Hmm. That sucks.
Whatever.
Um,
It is what it is. But anyway,
let's start our story because it is going to be a real fucking long one tonight.
okay, let's do this.
Okay, we are on the final part. I don't even remember what part this is. Of
1,000.
yes, it feels like it. Of fucking Carl Panzram. This motherfucker. I'm so tired of him. This part is going to be long because it just is. And honestly, it's like to the point where I probably could have broken it up into 2 more episodes. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I have to get this man out of my fucking brain because, good Lord, I'm so tired of him. I'm so fucking tired of this goddamn guy. Like, I can't. So we are going to just jump right in and um, tell the story about fuck face Carl. Also, if I sound a little bit congested, I do apologize. Um, I have been kind of sick over the like last week or so here just with a cold, and I'm finally getting on the upswing of it, but my ears are kind of plugged, and so I'm certain that I sound a little congested. I hope it's not too bad. So, all right.
Yeah, so like Emily said, it's going to be long, so if you don't do a bunch of rants and tangents, or if I don't talk a lot, it's because we're trying to make sure we can make it into one part,
Yeah, exactly.
one episode.
We're trying to give it to you all at once here so we can all be done with this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Um, again, with like as I've said in the last episodes, this episode is going to contain mentions of rape, murder, burglary, arson, child sexual thing. Like it's just all the trigger warnings except for animals, I guess. So
Yeah.
um, so if that bothers you, please skip this. Your mental health is worth way more than listening to our episode, and we will see you at the next one. All right. So let's fucking go. Okay. It has been a minute since we recorded, right? Do you remember where we left Carl?
Oh, fuck. He lost his boat.
His boat sank, yes.
Yeah, and now he's pissed off. And you said something about not being in the US anymore.
Yep. Yep. We go international in this part.
That's the word I was looking for. Yep.
Yep. So he has sunk his damn boat, and the 2 men that were helping him on the boat were the only 2 men that have ever gotten away once he has decided to kill them.
Yep.
And so he's gone back to New Haven, Connecticut, and he's burglarizing the wealthy homes there. He gets caught because he breaks into a house where the people are home and awake, and then gives the cops a fake name and was given 6 months in jail because this was seen as his first offense. Okay.
Yep.
So that's where we kind of landed with him. So he is now real pissed because all of his stuff, including William Taft's gun, is at the bottom of the river or the ocean or wherever the fuck he was. I don't know where New Haven is. I mean, it's Connecticut, but I don't know if it's on the ocean or if it's on like a river and inlet or something. I don't know. I don't really care that much. Either way.
Yeah.
Carl's there and he's like, I'm not going to let this boat sinking ruin my dreams of being a pirate. So he is going to make it as a pirate now. So now the people of like Manhattan, Long Beach, Atlantic City, that kind of area are starting to get suspicious of him because if you remember from the last episode, he had at least 10 men, like crews of 2, helping him on his previous boat that would just disappear and never come back. So all of these people are like starting to get kind of suspicious of him. And the men that are disappearing around him, they're like, okay, what the fuck is happening here? So Carl decides it's time to move on and leave like this area of like New York, New Jersey kind of. But his boat has sunk, and so he has to come up with a new idea, which turns into him deciding to join the flying squadron of the... Oh my God, Patrick Thomas. Jesus. Do you hear that? Just dinging?
I don't know how you have the... You have volume on your phone?
No, look, it's on silent. Ow. Oh my God, ow. I hit my reflex in my knee when I did that. Okay, I'm ignoring it.
I don't think I could even get the volume to work on this thing. I don't remember the last time I turned volume on.
It's on silent.
Okay, well...
Either way.
Did you drop your phone in gravy again?
No. Not this time. No, not this time. Okay.
That just reminds me though, when we were younger, we had to have our phones on because we had cool ringtones, and now we're like, God damn, what's that noise?
If this even beeps one time, I'm gonna fling it across the room.
Oh shoot! Okay,
fling it into the ocean with all Carl's fucking possessions. Okay.
God.
So Carl decides to join the flying squadron of the Seamen's Union, which I looked up. It doesn't appear to be like really, at least it's not called this anymore. It doesn't seem, but it does seem kind of like military.
Seaman.
I know. I was hoping we would skip over it. I knew you wouldn't.
Had to.
I knew. So he gets this job with the union here, and his job once again is to knock down these picket lines and all the protesters, right? And he's fantastic at it, and he loves that. But this time, the aggression between the picketers and those sent to break it up escalated so quickly that the cops got involved and a gunfight broke out. And after this incident was looked into, eventually they narrowed down on who the main instigator of this gunfight would be. And can you guess who it was?
Some guy from somewhere.
Yeah. Or
just kidding.
It's fucking Carl.
Gee, I wonder.
I know. I know, that was a real surprise, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this investigation brought much more to light, such as some of his aliases that he has been using, his prison records, his just wild brutality and willingness to attack and kill people. All brought to light now.
We're doing great. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're good. So, he is all of this information about him, his police records, his jail time, his aliases, all of this is coming to light. And so Carl is like, well, fuck. So once they have all this information, the cops are also like, well, fuck, we gotta go get him, right? Because they hadn't arrested him at the scene of this gunfight. It just, after interviews and everything, it just turned out that Carl was the one that they needed. So they're like, ah, shit, we gotta go find him. Well, do you think Carl stuck around for this? Absolutely fucking not. So now, the cops are absolutely terrified because they're like, I don't know where this guy is. Fuck. But we know a bunch of the shit that he's done. Not all of it, because God knows, nobody knows all of it, I don't think. But, not all of it, but they know enough to know that he is very dangerous and they need him out of the public. So his photos and info are distributed countrywide, and they tried to contact as many states and went so far as to search every single ship manifest leaving the country under every single alias.
How old was he at this time? Sorry. I'm just really curious.
I would say, I'm not 100% sure. I would say late 20s, maybe 30,
Okay.
31.
Okay. I knew he was young, but
He's no, no, no. I would
yeah.
say late 20s. I would say 28,
Okay.
29. So he's
Yeah.
extremely young at this point still. But God, how you wouldn't know. Um so so they are looking as far as every single ship manifest on every single ship that has left the country under every single name that they had for him. Like they're
Yeah,
really
but he's
searching for this
definitely got
fucking
new
guy.
names.
Um oh yeah, he sure does. He sure does. So what does Carl do? He stows away on a ship. His name isn't going to be on one of those manifests, right? Then the ship was headed to Portuguese Angola on the west coast of Africa. So he is headed to Africa. Eventually, at one point, Carl does come out and he proves to the crew that he can actually be helpful and work, and he's like hardworking and he's strong and he can help. So they let him stay on, and he works his way on the boat to Africa. However, being white and having American money in this other country is a real benefit for him, and he is living his best life.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
You know, yeah, he's living large. He's real happy with himself right now. Because like I said, he's white and he's American. Like obviously the Portuguese and whatever, they're like, fuck yeah, man. You guys, the natives there are slaves and less than human, and the white people are, can do no wrong. So he's loving his time right now. So he finds work in the oil fields in Angola, basically being a slave driver, which he loved,
Yeah.
obviously. So he was so good at forcing his team to work that they were consistently the highest producers, and Carl continued to get a ton of bonuses. So he was quickly able to fund the lifestyle that he wanted in a country where no one knows him and that frequently looks like the locals as less than human, and he was fucking set.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
dangerous.
So we're in Africa now. Yes, very, very, very. Um, so this is where he decides once again that he is definitely not gay. And as we've
He's
said before,
lying to himself.
he is like he's lying to himself, and there's nothing
No,
wrong with
no, 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 no.
that at all. But he is not okay with it himself. He's
Yeah.
not good with it. So here he is going to prove it to himself in Africa. He's like, I know what let's do. I'm going to prove to myself that I am not gay. Okay, so he wanders into town searching for someone to victimize, right? And he finds a man with two daughters, two young daughters. I will tell you how old they are. You're gonna
Oh,
want to throw up. And Carl makes a deal with the man to buy his oldest daughter, for $6, provided that she was a virgin and she is 8 years old.
huh?
So the father says, "Sure, yeah, she's a virgin. $6, top notch. You take her."
Wow, Dad really loves his kids.
Well, I think that at this point, like I said, they're less than human, so I think that he was mostly just scared.
That's true, I guess.
I don't think that he was doing it just to be like, ooh, $6, hell yeah, get out of here, kid. I think he was like
Well,
scared.
yeah, whether he agreed to it or not, I kind of feel like it was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, whether he
Mm-hmm.
let Carl take him or not, or take her or not,
Yeah.
Carl was taking her. So Carl takes the girl back to his cabin and is very quickly disappointed with himself when he cannot perform. So he spends hours like inspecting her to make sure that she was a virgin.
I
And he comes to the conclusion that she's not.
And that's why he can't yeah.
Yeah, because remember the last time he got what?
Yeah.
Gonorrhea or whatever? The last time he slept with a woman. So he wanted a child, like a child virgin,
I
so
get
that she was
that. I
clean,
get that, but that is
essentially.
not why he
Yeah.
can't
No, no, no. No, it certainly isn't. But so she's not a virgin, according to Carl. But she's 8. So I'm willing to bet that she was.
I hope
So,
so.
he can't perform, and so he's fucking pissed. So he spent hours inspecting her to make sure that she's not a virgin. And finally, in the morning, he takes her back to her parents, where he's like, you fucking lied to me. She is not a virgin. And I'm going to exchange her for your other daughter, who is now 6 years old, because she certainly is a virgin. So Carl takes the 6-year-old now, and because their parents just really don't have any other option, like he's scary to them, and they know that if they don't say yes, he's gonna do something worse. So they hand over their 6-year-old, and again, he's not able to perform sexually, and now he is so furious that he makes this little girl get dressed in the middle of the night, marches her back into town to her parents, and basically flings her at them and just storms away.
There's so many reasons why he couldn't perform that the list is quite long.
And we know that children is not off limits to him. So it's definitely not their age. He has no problem with that. So it's, I don't know, maybe the fact that they're female.
Yeah.
Come on, Carl. You got to admit it to yourself at some point.
I was still going with the age, though, just because I'm not comfortable with that.
Oh, I'm not either. Mm-mm. I'm not. But, so now both of the girls are alive and back with their parents, at the very least. And Carl has stormed off. So I think ultimately, with dealing with Carl, I think that that's the best case scenario. And they have $6 because he did not request a refund. So they have $6. They have both of their daughters, and Carl is gone. So while these poor girls were obviously horrifically sexually assaulted by him,
yep,
they're home now and not dead. I don't know if that. I think that that's the best case scenario,
In a way, yeah, but now they're fucking traumatized forever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But hopefully being home with their parents and also being so young, maybe they can help start healing from it. And by the time they reach adulthood, maybe it's, I don't know. I can't say it would be easier or whatever, but you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
They kind of have a way to reconcile it in their own brain or whatever.
I guess, in a way.
I don't know. So at this point, he is 100% sure that he is definitely not interested in women, no matter how clean and pure they are. And it's like, Carl, buddy, we knew that 2 decades ago. Come on now. But okay. And he is super big mad at himself, and he is turning back to drinking. And because he has so much money in Angola here, he is drinking more than any one human should naturally drink. Obviously, right? The amount of consumption this man is, it's wild. So Carl ends up, hold on, I have to go shut my door. I forgot that my door is open, and now I hear people in here.
Okay.
Okay. So Carl is not gay, but is 100% gay. And he's drinking way too much, and he is really considerably rich at this point because of the money he's making on the oil fields and the just being an American of it all, I guess. I don't know. So he ends up violently raping the son of one of the men working on the oil rigs. Unfortunately for Carl, unlike in the US, homosexuality isn't as frowned upon in this place in Africa. So this boy that he raped went immediately to the authorities and reported Carl. So at this point, boss is like, well, fuck, what are we going to do with you? It's not like you can put him on another team. It's not like you can do anything. You can't keep him. So the best bet for the boss is to fire him.
Oop.
Well, Carl doesn't take that well.
Nope.
So he promptly beats his boss into a coma. So now Carl has been caught for this, and he heads to the American consulate and demands assistance from them to get him back to the US. Well, the oil company that he had been working for got to the consulate first, and they told the consulate what a monster he was, and officially the name Carl Panzram and a number of his aliases are now internationally known, along with some of the crimes associated with each name. So now he knows his remaining time in this area is going to be limited. And he's also stranded in Africa because America does not want him back. They said, fuck you, your problem, you are not our problem anymore. You are somebody else's problem. Do not come back. So he's stranded now with no job, with all of this shit wide open, and he's in a different country, and they won't help him. So he sets up camp near the oil field that he had just been fired from, and he found a young boy that he promptly raped and murdered right before heading over to the oil field at night and lighting one of the rigs on fire, because of course he fucking does. So one of their rigs is now on fire. After the fire, he just leaves. They do end up getting it out, and I don't believe there were any casualties for this one, but a gigantic oil fire or an oil rig fire is wild.
Yeah.
I do not think there were any casualties, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, that's good at least, I guess. So after the fire, he doesn't stay around to watch it. He goes down south, or goes further south, and hangs out there for a while before he gets restless again. He finds a boat and uses the last of his money to rent this boat with 6 crew members. So once they had made their way down the river into the jungle further, Carl raped and murdered each of them one by one while they were sleeping. So they got there, set up camp for the night, and then he would say oh, they have a buddy system in the jungle. So he'd say, oh, I have to pee. And he would take one, walk them way away from the other guys, violently rape and murder them, and then come back, pretend he's sleeping again, wake up, ask one of the other guys to come with him, and one by one. Yep.
They didn't realize that people were missing?
I guess if you're sleepy and it's dark out, I don't know that I would really double check either. Except they did start noticing because he was taking them all to the same spot. So they realized what was about to happen as soon as they got there and saw their buddies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can't run now.
Shit went sideways for them. So obviously, do you think that's enough for Carl, murdering 6 men in the jungle?
No.
After violently raping them? No. He stays there until the crocodiles ate the bodies while he watched.
I kind of thought he couldn't get any worse, but that is not okay.
Right?
No.
So now he has this boat where there should be 7 men on it, and he's the only one on it, and he heads back into town. And everyone in town is like, dude, what the fuck? Where's everybody else? And he's like, oh, they got attacked by crocodiles and they all died. But they're like, yeah, but you have not a scratch on you, homie. That is not what happened, my friend. But they're scared because he is a white man, and so he doesn't want the Portuguese, or they don't want the Portuguese to get involved because they can't hurt a white man, So,
oh my God,
he's living only under this protection of being white at this point. And he's like, well, job is done here. I'm gonna head out. So he heads back up to where the oil field was, and he's looking for ships to stow away on so he can get back to America just the same way he got to Angola in the first place. However, all of the Americans knew about him. They knew his aliases. They knew what he looked like. They all had his pictures. Everybody at this dock knew about who this man was. And even in the middle of the night, he was not able to get on one of these boats. They were so ready for him. So they made sure that he did not get onto an American boat, which I thought was pretty good. They have pictures. They have all of his names. They are ready. And he couldn't even get on in the middle of the night. So he's pissed, obviously, because you know what? I think that it's just natural. We're just going to go with Carl is just always pissed, I think, based on anything.
Well, I would assume, yeah.
But do we think this deters Carl any because he can't get back to America?
Negative.
No. Nope. Sure doesn't. So, what do you think he does? He finds a Portuguese ship and
Of course
hops
he
onto
does.
that one. Yep, so he's on his way to Portugal now, and he does um the same thing as he had done on the Angolan ship, or the Portuguese Angola ship, where he had stowed away for a few days and then showed his face and proved that he was like hardworking and he was strong and all that stuff, right? So they let him stay on. Um, Problem was, as soon as they got to Portugal, there's different laws in Portugal, and it's really just not as easy for Carl as it is in Angola. And the police are fucking on top of him constantly. Every time he even thought about being a fucking menace, the cops were on him. And so much so that within a week, he was again at the American consulate begging them to send him back to the US. A week. He lasted 1 week. Yeah. And they also told him to go fuck yourself. Please just wander into the deepest, darkest forest, never come out. We never want to, nobody wants you at this point. Just wander off the face of the earth if you would, please. That would be great. So again, he tries to stow away on an American ship, but guess what? They already knew who he was and they were fucking ready for him again.
Oh.
And he cannot get his way onto an American ship.
That sucks.
Uh-huh.
Fuck around and find out, big guy.
Hey, but listen, I guess it's like the early 1900s now, but man, tops like snaps to them for being so on top of this in
Right.
on two different continents now.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, this does not deter Carl either, and he sneaks onto a ship heading to Glasgow, Scotland. Carl gets found on the ship before he was ready to like make his big appearance like he had on the other two, and instead of them allowing him to work on the ship to pay his way, they, like the other ships had, these guys just beat the shit out of him and chained him up down in the brig, and he had to survive only on eating rats until they finally landed. And once there, Carl was sentenced to a year in jail in Glasgow, but obviously he very quickly escaped and headed back down to the docks where he would give a new fake name to the ship captains, and while telling them all of his previous experiences working on other ships, because he does have experience working on these ships now. And he tricks someone into hiring him, and he finally makes his way back to the US. Yeah. So now we're back in the US. So that was his little international stint.
Oh, God.
I want to say it lasted, I think, about a year, because he spent a lot of time in Africa.
Yeah.
But then Portugal and Glasgow were much, much shorter. But I think total from the time he left to the time he returned was about a year. So now we're in 1922. He is 31 years old.
Okay.
He is back on his American bullshit, but now he is doing it during Prohibition, baby. Which is obviously Carl's favorite fucking time.
Yep.
And so he decides, smart Carl, remember we've discussed, he's actually very smart when he uses it.
He's smart for himself.
If he could only use it for good.
Yeah.
He's clever. So he's like, I know what let's do. I love this raping, murdering, pillaging lifestyle that piracy gave me. But now I'm in the US again, and I have to come up with some version of that I can monetize. Even more so than just murdering someone and stealing the money out of their wallet or something, So he decides he is going to make a career out of killing people by becoming a hitman for the mob.
Seems fitting.
Yep. And obviously, the mob is big during Prohibition here in New York. So, I mean, he's onto something here, right? So what does he do? He goes to steal a gun, obviously, because that's the first thing a hitman needs. He wanders down to a little shop in town, gets a silencer installed on it, and then takes the gun out of town to like practice shooting it, and realizes that the silencer isn't silencing as much as he wants it to, because modern day silencers were not invented yet. So it always would still sound like a gun, just quieter. And he got frustrated and threw it into the river and walked away.
Oh,
and that was the end of his hitman career for the mob.
That lasted long?
I know, he was really into that, wasn't he? So then he moves to Salem, Massachusetts.
Of course.
And yeah, in July of 1922, he sees, okay, trigger. This is a child. And there's a fair amount of information about this one. So in July of 1922, he's in Salem. He finds an 11-year-old boy named George McMahon near a small restaurant in town, and the boy was like playing outside, but the woman running the restaurant was a family friend, and so she asked him if he would run to the grocery store down the block to get a gallon of milk, and she gives him some cash, or like I think it said like 15 cents or something like that, to go down to the grocery store, which was owned by George's aunt. So the aunt, his aunt, and the family friend are like just a few buildings down, right?
Yeah.
Which is why this woman, the family friend, was like, yes, this is fine to send an 11-year-old on this errand. Although it's the 1920s, so I feel like 11-year-olds were doing more than wandering down the street. But here I am. I don't know. So he is walking. He leaves the restaurant. He starts walking towards the grocery store when who does he have the extreme unfortune of running into? Carl.
His worst nightmare.
Yes. Carl is like, hey, kid, I'm new in town. Can you please show me around? I see that you're going on an errand. I would love to like come with you, and like I'd like to see the grocery store since I'm new in town. And I will give you, or I would love that if you would do that with me. And he goes, hell yeah, because he's 11 and he's trying to be helpful. So they get to the grocery store, and George buys the milk. Carl buys a pop for both of them and like some magazines or whatever. And then they leave the grocery store together after talking to George's aunt. Carl has a full conversation with this woman.
Oh, goodness.
And Carl says, hey, before we go back to the restaurant, I want to offer you 50 cents because he only got 15 cents to go to the store to buy milk. So he wants to offer him 50 cents.
Oh.
If he would go on an adventure with Carl.
Oh,
and
God.
now George is like, ooh, 50 cents. Hell fucking yeah. That's a lot to an 11-year-old in 100 years ago, I'm sure. I don't know what it is now, but that's a lot for a kid. And so he's like, hell yeah, let's go. We'll take the milk back later, but we're going to go on our adventure now. So Carl turns into the absolute worst piece of shit that he could possibly be, as per his usual. And poor George. 3 days later, his body was found after extensive searches from the locals. And he's gone again. Actually, he had ripped up some of the magazine that he had bought from the grocery store that the aunt was at and shoved it into his mouth. So that when he was found, the aunt would see it and know that that's what had happened. Yep.
Wow.
Right? So he's off again. Run away. So early 1923, Carl is now going by John O'Leary. He gets a job at a mill doing security at night, and he actually had rented an apartment nearby, and he actually settled down for like a while, like months at this place. He doesn't stay settled for long though. Like he stays in his place, but not without committing crimes. And he's like, I need to commit a fucking crime. And there was this boy who worked at the mill who Carl was like, got it. I got your number, buddy. Poor boy. And so Carl was like, hey, why don't you stay after work with me tonight? And like, you can drink on the end of your shift. I'll drink at the beginning of my shift, and we'll just drink together and hang out for a while. And this worker was like, heck yeah, man, that sounds great. And his name is George Wallison. However, so once Carl decides that George is going to be his next victim, George surprises him and they engaged in consensual sex, which was like the first time ever for Carl.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to victimize George here, and he was real thrown off by that. So they carry on this affair for a while, even though Carl was like, I don't fucking know what's going on here. Right? So they carry on for months this way. And he's actually feeling really content right now, which is obviously really fucking with his head because he doesn't know what being content feels like, you know?
Yeah.
But he's really content right now. So if it was but his problem is now starting in his head. If it is possible for people to show him kindness, compassion, and most importantly to him, be an active, willing participant in a relationship like this and having consensual sex, he feels like a monster for what he has done in the past, because then why couldn't these other people that he had assaulted do that? You know, why couldn't they also have these meaningful relationships? So now he's feeling like a fucking monster because up until now, he's always thought the bigger, the stronger, the better I am, the more power I have. And that's worth it. Like, that's good. That's what you need, because otherwise every single person in this world is going to beat the shit out of you. But now George Wallison comes in and he's like, I actually kind of like you. And Carl is like, listen, I fucking like you too, but what the hell? I don't know how to deal with this in my brain. He has no idea what to do with himself. So, randomly, several months later, he gives up his apartment, quits his job to go back to his transient life as a monster, but he doesn't want to leave George. He's like, no, I like this kid. And he knew that George was not going to be able to handle Carl's awful lifestyle, right? So they made a deal where Carl is going to leave town and like come back on and off. Like, it reminds me of like commuting for work almost, or traveling for work, basically. So at this time, he leaves town, he goes and steals another yacht. And so since cars and like traveling now was much different than when he first started, like cars are more prevalent, like travel is just different, trains are different, like everything is just kind of different, you know? So he has no idea how to handle technology shifts. So he decided that this yacht is going to be the best option for him, because he knows how to work the yacht, but now he can't really easily travel the trains, and he can't get into people's cars like he can on a train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's like, boat on the water, the authorities have no chance on me either.
Okay.
Like, yep. So he heads out with plans to return for George soon, but thought that gathering up some money and riches before then would help George and him start a nice life at sea. Like, it really, honestly, this sounds like he's honestly like, I could do this. I can do this. I can have a nice life with George.
Okay. Can he, though?
So he goes, well, you'll see. He goes to New Haven and starts to rape and steal and murder, but he decides that instead he needs to break into houses because the murdering and stealing was not making him enough money to provide George with the life that he wants to provide for George.
Okay.
However, with George waiting up in Yonkers, he didn't want to end up back in jail, so he scaled back his ideas a little bit. End quote. He was much more intentional with the homes that he broke into, and like he was really kind of still gun shy after getting caught breaking into the one where people were home and awake. So he was very cautious about that. And then he would have this stuff that he had to carry around town to get back to his boat. So then he decides, I'm just going to stick to the houses on the waterfront. I don't have to go so far. I'm not as likely to run into the police and stuff. So Carl's really using that crafty little noggin of his here. So after a while, he's like, I'm going to fucking get caught again. And so he switches just simply to the yachts that are parked in the marina, like near him. Okay. He's still able to steal from the rich, but then he wouldn't have to transport the treasures as far, and he didn't have as much risk in getting caught. So this, in his head, is the perfect way to accumulate all of the riches that Carl hoped to have for George, for them to start their life together.
Okay.
It's almost kind of cute. Almost.
A little.
Yeah. If it didn't come with all of the other bullshit that Carl has to offer.
Yeah.
So, after stealing his fair share of money, jewels, riches, and booze, he finds a lot of booze on these yachts, right?
Of course he does. How else
Yeah.
will he survive?
Honestly, I don't know. So he comes across a ship with a 38 caliber gun with the paper associated with it, telling Carl that this gun and likely the boat belonged to the police chief, which wasn't going to be nearly as satisfying as having William Howard Taft's gun, but it's gonna fucking do.
Yeah.
So he's happy now with what he has, and he's like, I'm gonna go back to Yonkers to pick up George. George says goodbye to his family and tells them that he got a job on this ship working for Carl, and him and Carl head out to sea. So, again, Carl is even more content now because he has George on the boat with him. And he's real uncomfortable. He's so content, but so uncomfortable all at the same time. He has a partner who is happy to give Carl, like, the sexual releases that he wants, and who wants to actually spend time with him, and who actually seems to like Carl, and just enjoy spending time with him. And like I said, it's almost cute. It's almost...
It is, but I feel like he's gonna ruin it.
Carl ruins everything that he touches, so yes, of course he is. Why is my fucking lighting being so weird? I hate it. Okay, whatever.
I don't know, man, but it's loud.
I know. So, now he's getting uncomfortable even lying to George about where all this stuff came from. And George is like, hey, how'd you get all this stuff? And he's like, I worked for it.
Surprise,
I'm not gonna tell you what I actually did for it. So, after a few days, George is starting to get really seasick, and he wants to go back to life on land. So what does Carl do? He goes ashore to find someone to buy the yacht so they could settle on land. And he finds someone, and this buyer, Carl and George, all three of them, head out so that he can see the boat and kind of, whatever, before he buys it, And eventually it turns into this man pulling a gun on Carl, saying, I'm gonna, kill you guys and steal the boat now. It's mine now, homie. And Carl is like, okay, fuck off. And he shoots the man right between the eyes, and then goes into his pockets and takes all of his stuff, and then asks George, hey, will you grab the anchor from over there, because we're gonna dump this man into the fucking bay or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, George here is horrified at what he has just seen. He's like, what the fuck? And he's frozen. So Carl is like, okay, fine, I'll fucking do it. He grabs the anchor, ties him up.
I gotta do everything around here.
Yeah, tosses the guy into the water. So then George is just shocked that his boyfriend is capable of doing this. And Carl is actually feeling bad that George had to see this happen. And whatever. And so it's like, okay, then stop doing this, okay?
Yeah.
So the man is now in the ocean, and he's looking at George, trying to decide what George is going to do. And Carl is like, okay, cool. Everything's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We're going to be fine. And eventually, they go to sleep. So George is asleep. Carl is not, and he jumps off of the boat.
What?
To go, because he wants to go steal some fishing nets. and some other shit in town
Oh, so
while George is sleeping,
okay.
so
Okay.
that George doesn't have to see that anymore. But if they have the fishing nets, then Carl can make him a really nice lunch.
Okay.
So
Okay.
George wakes up and realizes that he is alone on the boat, and he flies off of this boat into the ocean or into the water, and he is swimming as far as he can. He's like, okay, I know the marina is that way, so I'm gonna go that way. And he's swimming as hard as he can, as far as he can, to just get the fuck away from this situation. And he finally comes across a place where some fishermen are on like the beach, and they help him get into the shore, and they are like, okay, what the fuck, dude? And he just goes, police, I need police. Like, he's just screaming that he needs fucking police at this point. So he goes to the police. He tells them what Carl had done. He does, unfortunately, though, I do think this is a little shitty, he does frame Carl's like and his like sex life. Basically, he does say that it was Carl like just assaulting him
Yeah.
instead of it being consensual, which, I mean, okay, fine, Carl is a terrible fucking person, but it's like, okay, homie,
Even if
you don't like, you don't need to do that.
no,
So
I get it. I get that it was like a scary situation, but if it was
yeah.
consensual, it's fine. He still did
Mm-hmm.
something wrong.
He did
He,
a lot of something wrong in front of George,
yeah, yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's like, okay, but then it's like, but that technically is not wrong because it was consensual. So I don't know, I was like, George, come on now, it sounds bad enough, you don't have to make it worse.
Yeah.
So anyways, Captain John O'Leary is now on police radar, and okay, they're looking for him. So Carl, I'm actually pretty sure George only knows Carl by John, by the way.
I would assume so,
Because
yeah.
he's John to Carl, or to George, but I'm going to keep calling him Carl because fuck him. So Carl gets back to the boat, and he sees that George is gone, and he is actually like emotionally just devastated. He's so sad. He thought that he finally found somebody that he could trust that betrayed him so deeply and so quick.
So much
You
for
know what I mean?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's devastated, and Carl leaves on the boat trying to get as far away as he could, and when he finally docked for the night to sleep, all hell broke loose for him. Because he wakes up, he's in the boat, he's sleeping, and all of a sudden he wakes up to a shotgun pointed at his face because the police found him.
Yep.
And he tells them that yes, he is John O'Leary. Yes, he is the 40-year-old man that they are searching for. And yes, okay, fine. And George has now taken the police out to the point where they will find this body. So they have the body, they have Carl, this 40-year-old man named John, and George's story. And they're like, okay, homie, we gotta talk. By the way, Carl is only 32 years old by this point.
Yeah.
But they had no problem believing that he was in his mid 40s because obviously he's riding life hard, I guess. So after only a few days in jail, obviously he tries to escape and gets caught and sent down to solitary. So you're gonna fucking love this part, okay? So he's in solitary for a while, and then eventually he gets brought to trial. Most of the time during court, he is like, I don't want a lawyer, I don't fucking care, blah, 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 go fuck yourself. He won't even talk to his, like, court-appointed lawyers or sit next to them or anything. He's like, fuck them, I don't need them. But they're court-appointed lawyers, so they have to do their job, you know? So, during this specific trial, Carl finds a lawyer and is like, hey, will you represent me? And the lawyer is like, sure, homie, sure, John. And the judge sets $5,000 bail for him, and John now tells his lawyer that he's from California and works in oil, so he's very wealthy, but since he's in New York, he cannot access his money. So he wants to make a deal with his lawyer. So he's like, hey, lawyer man, let's make a deal. And lawyer man is like, I'm listening. Okay, so Carl tells him that, hey, I don't have access to any of my money right now because it's all tied up in California, and I'm in New York. But in New York, what I do have is my yacht and all of the paperwork for it, which is untrue because his paperwork was for the yacht that he sank first, and this one is stolen. But they're similar enough so that it's not immediately noticeable,
Yeah.
on like all the like title papers and stuff. So Carl is like, "Hey, I will sell you my yacht for $10,000. I will use $5,000 to post my bail, and then I will use the other $5,000 to like get an apartment and get set." Okay, and the lawyer is like, well, "That's a deal of
As
some
well.
sort, right? Do you?" And I would be like, the whole time I was reading this, I was like, "Lawyer man, no, don't do that." Lawyer man does it. Lawyer man decides it's a good idea. And it's like, okay, homie. So lawyer man is like, I've been wanting a yacht for a while. I just haven't been able to save up for it.
Yeah, me too, lawyer man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't swim. I don't want a
And
yacht.
so, right. Well, so he's like, you know what? $10,000 for this kind of a yacht, worth it. That's a fucking steal. So he agrees to Carl's deals, or Carl's like deal, and he gives Carl the money. Carl signs over the paperwork. Carl posts bail, and the lawyer wanders down to take possession of his new boat. So he gets his boat. I don't know how. Well, I suppose it's probably the one that Carl was on, I guess. Anyways, he gets on this boat.
Yeah, but would they have taken that?
Nope, apparently not.
Okay, well, whatever. What do I know?
Yeah. So he gets on his boat, this old boat of Carl's that's stolen, and he goes down to the port authority to get it registered under his name, get it switched from Carl's to his. But it took about 5 minutes for the port authority to be like, "Sorry, dude, you got scammed."
Yeah.
And
Who would have thunk?
yeah, I know. Who saw that coming? And then he goes straight to this hotel because he's so mad. He wants to talk to John now. And he goes straight to this hotel where John told him that he would be staying. But do you think Carl fucking waited one goddamn second?
No.
No, he's gone. He's long gone. He's left town.
A-Town.
Mm-hmm. He's out of here. So, what he does is he steals another yacht to get out of there. That's how he's going to get out of there.
Steals another yacht. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And again, almost immediately, he crashes and sinks this bitch.
I would love to know what he crashed into. Did he Titanic it?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, it's just like the rocks and stuff in the water, I suppose.
All right.
He's just not a very good navigator.
Clearly. He's gone through how many fucking boats at this point? Christ.
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Way too many.
I don't even know. Yeah. So what does he do? He swims off of this crashed boat onto shore, lays in the sun, dries off for a few hours, has himself a little beach day, and then wanders back over to the same marina after it's dark, or after it's like been a while, after everybody should be back in their vacation homes and stuff, right? And he's ready to steal another boat. But you know what? I am so fucking sick of this guy. Okay, I cannot stand this fucking guy any longer. That's why we have to do this big long episode today, because good God. So Carl gets there, and unfortunately for him, it was a nice day out, and everybody there had the audacity to be using their own boats.
Okay.
So they're all on the water, and he's like, how fucking dare you? They should be parked, and I should be able to steal one right now. How fucking dare you guys?
I don't understand how he's stealing them in the first place. Are these people just dumb enough to leave the keys in there? Or is he just, like, hot wiring this shit? Or...
I'm not... probably a combination of both, I think.
Ugh. God. That's too much work to steal something.
Well, one would think, right?
Yeah.
So Now he's really pissed at everybody. Because he's like, how fucking dare you? Those are my boats. I should have my pick of the crop right now.
Yeah,
right?
bitches.
Come on. This is, I think, the most entitled I've ever heard Carl sound. To be completely honest with you. I'm like, okay, dude. You're upset with all of these people because they're on their boats and you can't steal it? Okay. Okay, Carl. Okay. Whatever. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to their fucking vacation homes then and steal all their shit out of there. But before he gets there, he finds the train that all of these people had come in on, which still had all of their trunks and shit on it. So Carl is like, you know what? Change of plans. We're robbing this fucking train. Not my first train. Not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I can do this. Easy fucking peasy. Okay. So he busts open one of the windows and climbs into the train and just starts Also, he cut the shit out of himself climbing into this broken window, right? Obviously, who would have thought? And so he's just bleeding everywhere on this train too, okay? But he's going through all of these trunks and there's like furs and jewelry and riches and booze and just everything else that is like, it's Carl's like wet fucking dream, right? He's cleaning up in there and he's like legitimately like able to say find enough stuff that would have lasted him for years to like keep him like in money and booze for years. So he's like, hell fucking yeah. But all of a sudden, Carl is like a little rat digging through this fucking trunk
Fucking trash
with a
panda.
fur coat. Seriously, and I'm picturing him with a fur coat on, and he's got like a pair of like Elton John sunglasses
Jesus.
or something. He's just digging through. I know that's probably not true. Well, the coat maybe. The Elton John sunglasses probably not. But
oh my god.
He hears a gun cock behind him. And he is like, most time people would be like, hey, dude, what are you doing back there?
He didn't.
No, not Carl. No, not Carl. He grabs the axe that he had used to break the window, and he's like, no problem, buddy. You want to fucking go? We're going to fucking go.
Okay.
So.
A gun against an axe. Somehow I still feel like the axe wins.
Especially when it's being held by Carl.
Yep, that's where I was coming from. Motherfucker.
Yep, okay. But remember, Carl is in a really low mental state because of George.
I suppose.
And so he's like, I'm going to, give this guy like a little runaround. I'm not going to make it easy for him to take me in. But eventually Carl basically lets the officer wrestle the axe away from him and take him to jail, mostly just because he's so fucking tired of it. And like I said, George's betrayal really fucked with him.
Yeah.
So, now, he is in jail for this latest train robbery. And they're like, huh. Now they're starting to put together John and his other aliases, right? And they're like, huh. There seem to be a lot of other crimes connected to you, specifically Captain John O'Leary, in the surrounding towns. So he is, once again, given a $5,000 bond, and when he was being transferred, which he did not want to do, he said, quote, I've killed cops for less before, end quote. So now they're not moving him. They're like, fuck you, man, and they start to do an extensive investigation on him.
Thank God.
Because they're like, especially because the way that he was like saying it, they were like, this actually sounds like it might be actually something to.
Yeah, if his ass was so confident about it, you can't just ignore that.
Yep.
Not...
And he has, because remember he had killed that one cop in Oregon.
Yeah.
And then the brother took over as superintendent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he had 17 years in Oregon for that.
Yep.
But, which arguably was less. Carl didn't fucking care.
Nah.
So now they're like, hey, we're looking into this. And so they're investigating him and they're questioning him for hours, days, whatever. And eventually he tells them that he is an escaped criminal from Oregon in an attempt to escape serving out his 17-year sentence for killing that officer. And they didn't fucking believe him.
So you didn't look into it?
They do. They do look into it. They do look into it. But they were like, no, you're not. You're just doing this, like, to look tough. You're not that fucking scary.
Yeah, to get into their head.
I would argue, yeah, basically. I would argue otherwise. He's scary as shit, but, you know.
Yeah.
They don't fucking believe him. And they tell him they tell him that they think he's lying. And he's like, fucking bet. You want to write them? So what do? They get a hold of the Oregon Police Department. And they send over, like, a picture, because in Oregon, remember, he's not John O'Leary. He is Jeff Baldwin. Jeff Baldwin is the one that killed the Oregon cop. But these guys send them a picture, and they're like, that's not John O'Leary, that's Jeff. And we fucking want him. We fucking want him. And he has 14 more years left on that fucking sentence, and we're coming to get him. And they're like, okay, great.
We didn't want him anyway.
Yeah.
Deuces.
So he had 14. Yeah. Please fucking take him. So he is, they're like, okay, he has 14 years left on his sentence here. We're going to come get him, and we're going to, like, make him do that. But this part was kind of funny to me. There was a $500 reward for any information leading to his recapture, right? And Carl, who, like I said, is Jeff Baldwin to the Oregon police, tries to claim that he should get the reward because he basically turned himself in. So he said that he gave them the best info, which fucking hilarious, I think.
This guy, man.
I know. And, like, the police were like, no, that's not how that's going to work, buddy. So, he agrees in his trial to plead guilty to the train burglary for a lesser sentence. Which all of the lawyers were like, yeah, okay. Great. And the maximum sentence would have been 5 years for this burglary. So they're like, okay, lesser sentence, no big deal. You plead guilty, we're done, no trial, boom. Instead, though, they lied to him and fought for the maximum 5 years, which he got, and he was super duper pissed, but he is being moved to Sing Sing prison under the name John O'Leary. What?
Are they ever gonna figure it out? For crying out loud.
I know!
This guy, like...
This fucking guy, right?
He's so noticeable. Like, he's just, like... If you look at pictures of him, you can totally,
he's
like...
He's huge, and he's scary.
He is. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, now he is in Sing Sing, and he is obviously quickly putting the fear of God into every single one, everybody, prisoners and guards alike. And eventually they decide he's too dangerous to be housed in Sing Sing. So they arrange to send him to, quote, the deepest, darkest hole that the state of New York has available. Upstate New York's Clinton prison, also known as Dannemora, end quote. And the author of the Kill 'Em All book, Ryan Green, describes it as, quote, something out of a lascivious history book about the dungeons of old Europe. So that gives me wet, stanky, damp dungeon, rats, spider webs. There's definitely a drip somewhere.
Mold,
yep.
Shit food.
More spiders than one place should have. Yeah. So he gets now to Dannemora. And when he gets there, they give him a bath with snow melt and, like, rinse the shit out of him, right? And they are doing, like, their check of all of his orifices to make sure he doesn't have anything on him.
Well, he
right?
deserves that.
Well, he sure does. And then they kick the shit out of him for a while. And they just
Also
beat the
deserves
shit out of
that.
him. Mm-hmm.
I
And
can't
then,
even. Oh
no,
God.
no, no. Oh, yeah.
There's.
No, fuck
I
this
don't
guy.
even care anymore.
Fuck this guy. And so he gets to the warden now, and he's like checking in. They're going over why he's there, all that kind of stuff. But because he's just gotten the shit kicked out of him, he is so mentally exhausted, and he's just got a bath with fucking ice melt. Who does that, by the way?
Who thinks of
Do
that?
you do you use it like an exfoliant and just rub it on? Like what the fuck? It's like an ice. It's like a salt. Either way, it's got to be fucking uncomfortable.
I'm curious what happens though if you think about it. If you do rub it in, it's gotta burn your skin, right?
Yeah, like on the ice melt things, they say not to get it on your like the bags and stuff, not to get it on your skin. That's why you're supposed to use like a cup or something.
Okay, well, I don't read the bag. I just assume that that's the rule.
I only know it because Patrick told me that I had to use a cup.
I feel like that was common sense though, right?
I was just gonna like dump it, and it
Yeah.
was only like but like that on my old house, that just that first little patio that you walk into the main
Yeah,
floor,
yeah, yeah.
and it was just right there where that one corner is that always gets really icy. So I was just gonna scoop a handful of it and drop it down onto it. It's salt, right? So I was like, I can do that. Scoop, drop, done. No, apparently you can't. I
No,
don't know.
you can't because it's
Either way, Carl got a bath with it. And so he tells them, because he's so fucking exhausted, he's devastated still about George's betrayal. He's gotten the shit kicked out of him. He was in Sing Sing. Now he's brought up to Dannemora. His lawyers and shit just lied to him about this deal. And so he's fucking tired. And he tells the warden his name is Carl Panzram, not John O'Leary. And the warden just goes, all right, cool, and files the paperwork away under Carl Panzram, not John O'Leary. And if he had done the John O'Leary thing, they would have also had his name under Jeff Baldwin, because those two now were connected. But John O'Leary and Jeff Baldwin are not connected to Carl right now. So he is Carl Panzram with none of that extra shit on there.
but even under Carl, he has other shit.
He does, but it's not nearly as bad as or as current as John O'Leary's bullshit. Or the killing of the cop in Oregon under Jeff Baldwin's bullshit, right?
It's true.
So Carl hasn't been arrested in a while. He has a gazillion other aliases, and they've all been arrested.
Don't they have pictures of him in jail, like mugshots?
Yeah, that's how Oregon realized that John O'Leary was Jeff Baldwin that they wanted. I don't know how the warden apparently just didn't fucking care to check about who this man was.
Yeah,
and so he said Carl Panzram. He wrote down Carl Panzram, filed that away, and called it a fucking day. So they have no idea who they're dealing with now either. Which is great, huh? So, within the first week of being in, oh god, what was this called again? Dannemora. In the first week of being in Dannemora prison, he built a bomb and was prepared to blow the entire place up, himself included. He did not care. However, entirely by luck, some of the guards found it and managed to dismantle it before he was able to do that. And he was punished very viciously for this, obviously. You can't build a bomb in prison and not get the shit kicked out of you.
I would love to know how he built the bomb in prison in the first place.
You know, there was nothing in my books about that.
Last time I checked, they have limited access to shit.
I wonder though, because you know how they have like the laundry, and you have chemicals in the laundry, and then they've got like gardening work that they could do, so you'd have like fertilizer and just stuff like that. Maybe he's just finding little things like that around. I don't know how you'd make a bomb out of fertilizer or the chemicals. But I know that I've heard of it before, so Carl would figure it out. I'm certain of it.
I guess I haven't looked into how to make a bomb lately.
I haven't either, and I think that my search history is just enough to where the FBI is not going to actually come looking for me. They're starting to get a little curious, but I think if I Google that, I might get a knock on my door, and I don't really want that.
Well, maybe.
So, anyways, so he gets the shit kicked out of him by the guards for this. They're all real fucking pissed at him, right? So the second week that he's there, he's only been in Dannemora for 2 weeks now. He smashes a guard on the head with like a big wooden paddle, and Carl thinks he killed him, but instead this officer survives. But he has like permanent disabilities. He has memory problems. He stutters. He loses like function of his like limbs. Like he can't. He's really shaky. He doesn't have that like motor function anymore. But he lives. And Carl's real annoyed about that because he thought he killed him. It's like, homie, I know they don't know that you're in there for killing an officer, but you don't have to do it on the second fucking week.
He's just like trying to just end himself at this point, I feel like.
He's spiraling.
Yeah, he's just done.
He's really, really spiraling. So, Dannemora is a prison, like they said, an old like castle dungeon in old Europe, right?
Yeah.
So it has 30-foot tall, like big ass brick walls around it that go 20 feet underground as well. So you're not digging under it. Getting over it would be nearly impossible, right? And so the guards trust this 30-foot wall so much that they don't typically bother to guard it at night, which obviously Carl has taken note of very clearly.
Yep.
And he starts taking little things here and there from like the garden shed and from like the kitchen and whatever. And he decides, hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a 30-foot tall ladder out of all of this extra shit that I find around there, like a rake and stuff. And I'm going to climb this fucking wall.
Well, he escaped once. Was it once or more than once?
From prison?
Yeah.
A million times.
Yeah,
I've
I
lost
don't think
count
he's
of how
ever
many times
stayed
he's
in there. Yeah.
I've lost count of how many times he has escaped prisons at this point. So what he does is he's built his little ladder, and he's happy with how his little ladder turned out. And he's like, this is 30 feet tall. I will be able to get to the top of this wall. And so he one night when he's ready to go, week 3, he's only here for 3 weeks so far. He decides this is time. It's time to go. And he grabs onto his cell door and puts his body weight into it enough to pull it up and out of its hinges and open his door.
All right.
And just walk out. And walk out, essentially.
You know.
So he walks out.
Maybe I'm just...
I told you, he's clever. He's fucking clever.
Maybe I'm just a really lazy human being, and I'm kind of just like, I don't care enough to sit down and think about that.
No! God, no. Like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, I think he just gets bored in his own head, and he's like, you know what sounds like a good idea? He has, like, a severe case of fucking ADHD, but, like,
fuck around and find out.
Adderall
really
can't even help him. Like, his brain's just constant.
Adderall barely helps me,
yeah,
and
same.
I'm not out here murdering people.
No, I just feel like his brain's just moving so much that he just has to do something. Mm-hmm. He gets bored, I think is what it is.
Yep.
He don't care.
And, yeah, and now, like we said a little bit ago, he's fucking spiraling because of this whole George debacle with George turning him in and that betrayal.
Yeah.
So he's just spiraling now. He doesn't fucking care at this point. So he puts his body weight into his door, pops it out of the hinges, and just walks out. He grabs his ladder from where he has it hidden. He walks over to the wall with his ladder, pops it up, and he starts climbing his fucking ladder. And the guards aren't out there because they trust their wall.
Well, now they won't. And that is when they invented barbed wire. So
what happened was, Carl fell. He got all...
Why didn't you warn me before I took a drink? I envisioned him falling.
So So he gets all the way to the top almost. He is almost up there. He's almost to the point where he can grab the top and yank himself up. And one of the rungs on his ladder, the second his foot hits it and all of his weight goes onto it, breaks. And he falls almost the full 30 feet to the ground and lands on a cement pad.
You know what? That would be me. That would be me escaping from literally anything.
It did kind of look like that orange juice was about to come out of your nose, though.
Well,
He fell. He fucking fell. For somebody who is this resilient.
Oh my god. Yeah, that would be my luck.
Okay, well, he fell nearly that 30 feet onto a big-ass concrete pad. Which, obviously...
Yeah, and that didn't do shit to him.
So he broke both of his ankles, both of his legs, and his spine. He also ruptured his groin, quote...
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Quote, with his organs bulging out between his legs like he was giving birth to his own innards, end quote.
Oh, huh. I feel like the saying is karma's a bitch.
Oh, and it, honestly, this part, it starts to get worse. Okay, Carl is spiraling. We are on his downward spiral. And this gets fucking worse for him. Okay, so he is out there. It's the middle of the night. None of the guards are out there. He is in the most wild pain he's ever been in before. God, can you imagine rupturing your balls? Fuck!
Among everything else.
Oh my god.
But this guy has done so much.
I know. But like...
He has like never gotten injured, really, ever.
He's like gotten scratches. I think he's been shot a couple times, and then he's broken... Remember he broke his ankles and they made him walk on it or they broke his ankles for him and then they made him walk?
They did it,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, but they're broken anyways. It fucking hurts.
But but this is like a self-inflicted situation, which he's never really ran into.
Yeah.
After how many years of fucking around?
Yeah.
Home Dog deserved this.
1,000,000%. So, what now happens is he's outside. He is screaming his fucking head off, right? He is in so much fucking pain. And he is screaming. And I am certain that some of the guards heard him and just were like, he's not going anywhere.
It's too dark out there. We'll wait till the light is.
So, yeah, it's actually kind of chilly, you know. I think there's mosquitoes. They're really bad tonight. And it's a full moon, and I don't feel good about that either. I don't know. But yeah, it's like I'm
a little tired.
There's nothing actually saying that they heard him and waited, but I'm willing to bet that they heard him and waited.
They had to have.
Yeah. Because he's screaming. And I can imagine that he would be, right? Because both of your ankles, both of your legs, your whole
basically
spine.
Your entire body.
Yeah, your whole spine. And guess what? I'm willing to bet another fucking head injury for this fella. Obviously. Which is definitely what he fucking needs at this point. Another head injury. Anyways, so he is hurting so bad that he is actually begging the guards for help.
Huh.
Please help me, please help me, please help me. This hurts, I'm broken, like, please help me. Which, obviously, we do not know Carl to do.
Nope.
Carl doesn't ask for help.
Nope.
But he was in so much pain that he was actually asking for help. So, what they do, they get four of the guards, and they all, like, help to pick him up. Right? Pick him up, move him on, and instead of... they put him on his feet and try to make him walk. Which, fucking horrific, if you ask me.
Oh,
with all those broken bones and a spine and your spine.
Literally all of it.
Yeah. Oh my god. And so they try to make him walk, but then eventually they do realize that he's not walking. Like, this is not fucking happening.
No.
This isn't happening. So they all kind of grab limbs and, the four of them kind of carry him inside. Which, I don't know why you wouldn't grab some sort of, like, dolly. Or, like...
Maybe they didn't have one.
Like, one of the little beds with wheels. I know what those are fucking called too, and my god. Okay, whatever.
Gurney?
Gurney! Yeah. Why would they not grab a gurney? What the fuck?
Do they have one?
Well, yeah. Yeah, they have to. Gurneys were around in the 1920s, Chelsea.
Yeah, I get that, but
They have to because they, like,
I don't.
as a prison, they have a medical ward, so
Yeah,
they
but
have
this
to have them.
prison sound pretty shitty, so do they care?
Well, not for Carl, because instead of taking him to the medical wing, they
They put
take
him
him
back in his cell.
they take him and toss him in solitary confinement, and it was over a year and 2 months before he is finally escorted out of solitary. Over a year and 2 months before he is escorted out. And he has not had any medical attention in this time. So his ankles and his legs and his spine are, and I'm sure his fucking hips and stuff too, are all healing on their
Wrong.
own. Very, very
And they're
wrong.
all wrong.
Yup. Yup.
Oh, shit.
And
You
and
know,
in
though,
the books it says he's lucky if he got fed once a week. So he's also not getting the
yeah.
proper nutrition in order to fucking heal. So he's in bad shape and he's down there for 14 months. So
That's.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So Oregon.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's tough, man. And with ruptured balls. Oh my fucking god. Oh, I don't have balls. And that
All of
fucking
it.
hurts me. That hurts me.
All of it.
Goddamn. Okay, so Oregon comes. They go to the original jail that was like, hey, is this your guy? Because he said he killed one of you. Is this your guy? And they're like, fuck yeah, we want him.
Killed one of you.
We're going to come and get him. So Oregon comes and gets him. And then they go to this, oh, fuck, I forgot what the prison is called again. God damn it. Dannemora. They come to Dannemora. And they're looking, but they are looking under the names John O'Leary or Jeff Baldwin. And if you recall, he gave the name Carl Panzram
Carl.
that is not connected to Jeff or John. And so Oregon, which actually, had they found him, may have actually gotten him the medical attention that he really did need, left without him because they were like, well, he's not here, fuck.
They wouldn't have, looked around.
Well, he's in solitary. They're not going to find him. If they don't want him to find him, they're fucking sick of him in
I guess. But then, didn't they with his fake name? And they basically crossed it out and put in Carl?
No. When he gets to this Dannemora prison, he tells the warden, my name is Carl. He does not tell them. I have no idea what happened to the paperwork. From Sing Sing to Dannemora, I have no idea what happened to the prison, the paperwork between the two. Like, this is your guy, this is your guy. Like, I don't know. I suppose it's the 1920s. Shit gets, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but he was handed this name. He was given to this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Prison with this name, but then got there and said, no, I'm actually this person.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. Okay. I don't know how he managed to sneak around that, but he did. And so Oregon is like, oh, our guy's not here, and they fucking leave. But I'm pretty sure that they would have actually gotten him at least some medical attention had they found him. You know what I mean?
I don't know, though. He did some really fucked up shit.
I know, but at the very least, I would think antibiotics, because you would want him to serve out the last of his 14 years.
That is fair.
They really wanted
to serve. At that point, did he even need it?
How on earth do you think that you would survive all of that broken shit in your body without contracting some sort of infection? You would need some sort of antibiotics.
Yeah, but at that point, he already got.
Oh, no. They came in that time, in the year and a half. So they came in during that time, and they didn't find him. And so he possibly could have spent a lot less time in solitary had he had the right names.
Got it. I thought.
No, it wasn't at the end of it. For some reason,
okay.
No, it was like
now
in
I'm
the middle.
I'm on the path. Okay. Got it.
So had they grabbed him, he likely would have gotten antibiotics and at least gotten his legs set. So they're healing in the way that they're supposed to. But he didn't have the right name associated with him, and so they left. They were like, well, fuck, he's not here. Guess he got away again. Yeah. So either way,
about that.
After over a year before he gets, but it's over a year before he gets medical attention, the doctor that they finally do take him to after they pull him out of this is fucking horrified when he sees Carl. He's like, oh my God, you are in a state, my friend. and immediately schedules Carl for a surgery to help repair his balls. And this surgery is successful, which honestly has to be a fucking relief, right? After living with that for over a year, that had to be a relief.
I just want to know how you repair a set of balls.
Well, see, this is why neither you or I are surgeons. I don't know, but the surgery went really well. It actually went so well that, and
Oh God.
it was so successful that the guard's request to remove one of his balls was also slipped in there, and he only had one ball now. So well, it worked so well that he only has one ball, because they thought, like, when you like the examples in the books, both his autobiography and the other one that I was reading, both say that it was like, when you like say fix a dog or something to make them like less aggressive. They were hoping that by taking that, he would be less aggressive and less likely to continue sexually assaulting people.
I kind of feel like that is a different situation.
I feel like you wanted to chop his balls off and you wanted to hurt him, but you found some sort of way to try and like we're just trying this to see, because nothing else is helping. No, you just fucking want it off. You just want to do it to be mean to him, which I'm all for, okay? I am all fucking for. But like, that's the only reason that you did this. You did not do this because you tried to take any aggression out of him. You wanted to do this for fucking fun.
He still has one ball. He still has one, so you really didn't take much from him.
Yep. And then about his legs and his ankles and his spine and stuff, all of that had healed so poorly that at this time in the 1920s, only 2 or 3 surgeons in the entire world could have completed a surgery to fix them. Yeah. And obviously the surgeon at the prison is not one of those 2.
Nope.
And so they just kind of tried to like set it the best that they could, but his legs really were never going back to normal ever again after that.
I feel like he's better off being left alone in that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they tried to like do what they could for it without, because they would have, he shattered them, so you would have had to have surgery to find all of the pieces within you. You'd have to break the bones again to reset them. You'd have to do so much reconstructive surgery in order to even get them remotely close to normal at that point again. And so they tried to do what they could, but his legs never really fully recovered from that.
Which is an actual surprise they even attempted it, just because he was in prison and he was literally trying to escape.
Yeah, I think though what they were like, okay, it's been over a year. We have to help now to make it look like we tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the year waiting period.
That's a little sketch, but here we are. It doesn't matter. I don't know. He's dead. It doesn't matter. And so they tried with his legs, but there wasn't anything they could do. Same with his spine, but they've managed to fix his balls. But only one of them he got to keep.
Okay, but generally when you have like a spine injury, you are more than likely paralyzed.
I wonder though if it wasn't like closer to like
the neck?
The low. No, I think it's the lower part, because like in your neck you have all of like your brain stem and stuff in your neck. So I think this is where, but I think that it would be closer down to like by his tailbone and stuff.
Yeah, but if the tailbone was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out.
I don't know. I did not look at the x-rays. I'm not the doctor. Either way, he's not entirely paralyzed, but he is in constant pain every time he tries to move, which he deserves. But okay, a few days later, after what is that face for?
It is the lower back. It says, I'm looking it up because I'm really curious. Located in the lower back, controls the legs. So it had to have been like the upper spine.
Maybe it's like in the middle, because the upper would have paralyzed his
Maybe.
arms and stuff, right? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I didn't look at his x-rays. Doesn't matter. Either way, he's in pain literally for the rest of his life at this point now because of this injury. And he deserves every waking second of it because it's going to get worse, Chels. Are you ready for it to get worse?
As long as it's aimed at him.
So a few days later, before he's even healed, Carl now has found out that the guards have removed or had the surgeon remove one of his balls. And before he's even healed, he still has stitches from this surgery, mind you. He decides he needs to test out having only one ball. And in the only way that Carl knows how, he gets out of his hospital bed, walks across the hospital room to the inmate that was also sharing this room with him, and violently rapes him. And the doctor heard the screaming of this other patient and inmate and goes to get the guards. And by the time everybody gets back, Carl is done and just has that real scary grin on, like, haha, you fucking thought, man, and I can still do it. Grin on. And now everybody is like, oh God. He still had stitches.
He fucked up.
He still had stitches in when he did this to his one ball. Stitches in his one ball. This was just days later.
This guy, man.
I know. So naturally, they're like, hey, there's this guy, man. They're saying that too. So they are like, okay, fuck you. And they take him back to solitary. And he spends the remaining part of his 5-year sentence in solitary. Which, honestly, I'm all for at this point. Because fuck that.
That's the only place he can stay. He gets out of everything else.
Yep.
I mean, granted, he had some issues this time around, but
he tried to get out of this, honestly, and then shit went real sideways for him.
Well, it did, but he still didn't give a shit.
Nope, sure didn't.
I don't understand how he would have thought that only having one ball was just gonna fuck shit up. No, you still have one.
Mm-hmm.
And you still got your wiener.
Yep.
Which is generally what you use for that, I feel like. So, yeah, really didn't need to test it out.
Carl did.
I guess he is a guy.
Remember, he's only on a 5-year sentence for this train burglary.
Yeah.
And so in 1928, he's released from prison.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. But he tried to escape. They didn't add on to his sentence for that.
Nope. He did his 5 years that he was originally sentenced to for the train robbery.
I guess in their defense, they didn't want him there any longer.
No, they're like, you know what? He can stay here. Not a day more. Not a day more.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Seems right.
More trigger warnings, because this is where Carl really starts to spiral.
How?
He leaves New York after he's been released from Dannemora prison and heads to Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, he finds this young boy named Alexander Uszak, U-S-Z-A-C-K-E. Uszak? Yeah. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, somebody tell me, please. And Alexander here is on his paper route, delivering papers. And Carl lures him out to an abandoned warehouse where he rapes and murders Alexander. And instead of trying to even hide the poor boy's body, he tosses it in, like, just a pile of other garbage in this abandoned warehouse. Yep.
That's lovely.
So he's in Philadelphia basically long enough to do that. And then he leaves again. And he goes to Baltimore. And he decides that he's going to pickpocket someone because he needs some money. And he finds a teenager and told him to hand over all your money, does his typical thing. But this boy decided to fight back. But it took no time at all for Carl to quickly beat him to death. And simply that was because he didn't get his wallet out fast enough, basically.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. How nice.
I know. And now, immediately after this, he heads to DC. He's literally spending no time in any of these places at this point. He's bouncing and committing a crime here, a crime here, a crime here, a crime here, and he is bouncing down that side of the country. So he's in DC now. In DC, he decides that he is going to burglarize homes, right? And then he gets caught. And he's real pissed about being caught. You know, he doesn't like it. And he's trying to fight back. But then one of the cops that is trying to get him subdued manages to just hit him just right in his legs.
Good.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so all of the other cops that were there also realized, this is how we're going to get this guy in, like, where we need to get him.
Yeah.
So these hits to his legs with these fucking billy clubs from the cops basically take him out of commission, and they get him into jail. So he tries to escape this jail now, obviously, but he gets caught, and he is strapped to the snorting pole. Do you remember what the snorting pole was?
Unfortunately, yes.
The one where they get
I do.
your wrists together and then they yank you up like this or whatever?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. On this big ass pole. Well, now he's dealt with this a lot, so he's like, bring it the fuck on. I can do this. You are not going to do anything to me.
But, not after the spine injury.
But he forgot to account for that, and he was not prepared at all for the pain that was going to come when they got him up onto his tippy toes.
Yeah.
With his legs and his back and his spine being broken like that.
Yeah.
And so now he is in way more pain than he assumed, or than he was accustomed to every other time he had been given this punishment in his life.
Not that he cares, but...
Yeah. So he's screaming, which I think is like the first time ever in his life where he is actually like showing that this fucking hurts, aside from asking the guards for help when he initially got this injury, right? And he is he's so fucking pissed. He's screaming at them to stop, like, put him back down, whatever. And they're not doing it, obviously, because they're like, fuck you, man.
Well, yeah, it's punishment.
And he's so mad that he is graphically describing what he is going to do to all of the guards' kids as soon as he does escape here, if they don't let him down right now. Well, these threats lead police that they're like, okay, they're so descriptive and they're so like natural for him to say.
Well, yeah,
that they're
being in
like
that pain.
Well, yeah, but these threats to the guards' children are so natural coming out of him, and so descriptive, and so like they're like, oh, this is not the first fucking time he's done this.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, when you're in that kind of pain, you can't think of shit like that unless you've done it.
Yeah. And so now everybody at the prison is like, oh no, this is not the first, like, he is not describing,
this is not his first
he is
rodeo.
not describing something that he's going to do. He is describing something that he has done.
Did. Yep.
So now everybody at this jail is like, whoa, we are not dealing with somebody just burglarizing homes. We are dealing with something much worse. So they open a huge, like, nationwide investigation on this guy.
Good.
And so
finally,
so the first big thing, they sent out press releases, so it was in all the newspapers. They sent out pictures, so his picture was everywhere. They sent, like, the known places that he had been, like Oregon, Washington, Kansas, that whole western side, California, Texas, all of that. So they're sending these specifically to these precincts that they know that he's been in with pictures and stuff. And then it's just kind of everywhere else for everyone else. And so the first big thing that they're able to get him on is the murder of George McMahon in Salem, because the aunt that had talked to him at the grocery store recognized the papers that he had shoved into this boy's mouth And as soon as she saw the picture of this guy, she was like, that's the fucking guy. So she comes down and she's like, that's the fucking guy. He killed my nephew. I saw him. I had a fucking conversation with him. That's the guy. I will bet my life on it. And this brave bitch is ready to fucking testify. She does not care. She's ready to fucking testify. She's not like anybody else he's managed to scare off of testifying against him, you know? So she's like, fuck this, man. So for this one crime, he is given life without parole. Just George's murder. Just George McMahon's murder. Life without parole. So we fucking have him for more than a year or 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And he kind of, he's not stupid. He knows he's fucked at this point. Right? But so does everybody else. So he gets more fucked and more fucked and more fucked as more jurisdictions start coming in and being like, we know him, but we know him as Jeff or John or whatever.
Such and such. Yeah.
But, and Oregon wants him for this murder of this police as Jeff or, you know, whatever. And so now they're like, oh, no. Oh, this is worse than we fucking thought.
Yep.
This is so bad. This is so much worse than we thought. Yeah, this is so much worse than we thought. So now everybody is trying to, so they're like, okay, we have him in prison, but we know he's real good at getting out. And he's real good at trying. Well, aside from this last one. But he's real good at trying to get out. He's not going to stay somewhere. So they're like, where the hell do we house him? He's got life without parole. How are we going to spend the next however many years keeping an eye on this fucker?
Solitary confinement. Or death.
So, what they do is they decide that he is going to be sent to Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary in Kansas. Does the name Leavenworth sound familiar at all?
Didn't he already escape there?
He was sent to the Fort Leavenworth, where he had done all of that time when he was a kid. And that is just down the road. Which really gives me big fuck you, Carl vibes. They're like, hey, and this Leavenworth Penitentiary is like, yeah, fine, we'll take him. And at this point, he's really, really fucking starting to hate himself, okay? Instead of hating everybody else. He is just internalizing all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just doesn't have the energy to try and escape for a while. And so he's kind of just sitting there, and more trials, more charges, more sentences are just being thrown at him consistently. So he's just kind of sitting there doing nothing right now, right? He didn't even go so far as to try to beat and bully his way to the top like he normally does. He walked into the cafeteria the day he got there. He hollered, got all of their attention and said, quote, "You all know who I am and what I've done. I will kill the first man that bothers me," end quote. And that was just enough for everybody to walk away. And they're like, yeah, we fucking know you will. So, no, not a problem. And everybody left him alone. He is so fucking done at this point. He is so fucking done. Carl!
You know what, though? Some days I wish I could walk into places with that whole mentality.
That same attitude.
Just leave me alone.
You. I will kill you. Mm-hmm.
You see this face?
I'm not to be messed with,
and I'm feeling it today.
I am not to be messed with. Leave it alone. Yeah. Okay. So he's in this prison, and for a year, he is having all of these trials and sentences and charges and everything handed. It's like a year. Okay. And he's doing the jobs around the prison that he's assigned to, but a lot of them do require standing. And so he keeps trying to go to the warden and be like, listen, I'm not trying to get out of work. I just physically cannot stand that long. Is there some place that I can work while just sitting down, just because of his legs and his injuries from that? And so finally the warden is like, fine. And he sends him over to laundry. Who in their right mind would put this man back in a fucking laundry room? But
they didn't know in the first place.
Well, that's true, I guess. Anyway, so he's back in the laundry room. And he's
Yeah.
essentially, he's able to sit because he's just folding the like sheets and stuff. So he's able to sit, and he has a supervisor who checks in on him. So for the most part, he's basically alone. But this supervisor kind of pops in, checks on him every hour or so, right? And the supervisor name is Robert, and Robert just kind of starts to irritate Carl just because he's like being checked on, right? Carl's like, I'm not a
It's
fucking child.
babysitting.
Yep, I don't need a fucking babysitter. So
Yep.
Carl's getting kind of annoyed, but he's like, okay, whatever. Like he's like I said, he's fucking tired, and so he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Carl, who has not been in trouble for this entire first year that he is here, he decides that the one day that Robert decides to try to come and talk to him outside of the laundry room, that's enough. That's fucking enough.
Yep.
Saw that coming, didn't you? So,
Yeah, he got that itch. He can't
yep.
get rid of that itch.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotta scratch it.
So Carl rips a copper pipe out of the wall and beats the shit out of Robert, obviously killing him. It was so gruesome that there was like basically nothing left of his head, and the copper pipe was warping because of how hard it continuously was hitting the concrete. And like how much it was hitting the concrete. So after this was over, Carl is escorted immediately to death row, which is where he needed to be 10 years ago.
A while ago.
15 years ago at this fucking point.
And they still haven't figured out it's all one person.
Not quite, but they're about to.
Oh, good. Good.
So he's on death row, and one of the guards he does become kind of like fond of. His name is Henry Lesser, who would smuggle in cigarettes and writing materials. Because Carl said, I want to write my story. Carl's like, I want to write, I want to get it all out. And Henry Lesser was really interested in the psychology of it, right? So he was like, okay, I'm going to bring you some paper, and you just start writing.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
How the hell did he write a story?
Henry Lesser, baby. Yep. So.
Oh my god.
So
why did that not, like, compute in my head?
That autobiography, essentially, that I have, then that I've mentioned before and I've quoted in the other episodes of this series, that's how Carl wrote that, was Henry Lesser sneaking him in writing materials and stuff. So Carl is kind of fond of him. They sit and they kind of chit-chat a little bit. Like, Carl's not nice to him. Like, Carl's as nice as he can be for Carl, you know? But he's still a fucking asshole. But Henry Lesser is like, okay, you know what? I understand. Can you tell me more? Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, what was going through your brain at this point? When did this, you know, and whatever. And so Carl is like, okay, great. Yeah, we'll do this. And so he talks to Henry Lesser for a while, and they get information out. And this is how they start piecing together that he is Jeff Baldwin and John O'Leary and God knows however many other names that I'm forgetting right now. Right. And so this is how they start piecing all this together. And at first, everybody is like, this is not real. This cannot be what happened. Like, this is not what he's done. Right. And they start looking into all of the things that he's claiming that he's done. And every single thing is backed up by evidence, like police evidence or crime scene evidence or whatever. All of these things are backed up by evidence, and the things that aren't, they're like, you know what, it's far outweighed by the things that we can prove. We believe this too, you know.
Yeah.
So him writing his autobiography like this is how they put him all together, squished him all together, you know.
Well, he knew he outed himself pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was already on death row, and like I said, he's been spiraling for years at this point now, and he's just tired. He's ready to be hanged. He hated himself and the world around him so much that he was like excited to be hanged, essentially, you know. He's ready. Yeah. He was done. So September 5th, 1930 was Carl's big moment. as per usual, he never is one to let anybody see him upset or scared or hurt or anything like that. So he walks right up to the noose, lets the executioner hook him up, stating, quote, "Hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard. I could have hung 10 men in the time it took you to tie that knot." End quote.
You know,
which is the funniest goddamn thing. Hurry it up, you
it
Hoosier
is.
bastard.
Is this like some shit I would say as an old lady, just like tired and ready to just peace out, sick of everyone's shit? I don't know if that's the moment I would do it in, but
and then the executioner and the people there are like, "Do you have any last words?" And he just starts rambling on and on about how he hates every single person. I hate this guard for this reason. I hate my parents for giving me life. I hate everything about. And eventually, the executioner is like trying to give him time to say his words. And eventually, it becomes very clear that Carl is not going to stop. So he just yanks the thing. Carl drops mid-word and is just dead. So I like the Hoosier bastard thing as his last words because I don't know what else he actually probably said during that rant.
Fucker just rambled.
Yep.
He was just yapping his way to death.
Not going down without being silent at all.
No. And I mean, he technically was silenced for so long because he couldn't say anything without anyone figuring out who the fuck he was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good point.
So this is his moment to be like, ha 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 ha.
Bitches, got you.
Like, how many years? Like, how old is
that? That's true. I didn't even think about that.
7?
What?
Like, he was like 6 or 7 years old when all this shit started. Right?
Yeah. So I think he was 7 when his dad tried to fix that ear infection. I think he was 7. So
yeah. But I'm saying, like, from that age to like that moment, he couldn't say anything to anybody,
right? Mm-hmm.
Except for the shit that people did know about, which was very minimal.
Yep.
Oh, I bet he was just letting it all out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagine having all that like on your brain and this
And now you finally have like one last moment where they actually are like listening to you.
Well, apparently not really. Well, but
with a time limit, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yep.
That was Carl's big moment, which he was obviously really happy about. His family was contacted, but
okay, I was gonna ask that.
But they
definitely didn't show up.
They didn't want anything to do with him, so he was buried in a pauper's grave near the penitentiary with a wooden marker and nothing else except his prison number 31614.
Interesting.
And that's it. That's all he had on his grave.
I don't think he deserves much more than that.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Nope. I bet his parents thought he was dead a long fucking time ago, so they're like, shit, he's still alive?
What are you talking about?
Where did he come from?
Carl? Are you sure? Are you sure?
All of his siblings are even dead by now. Why is he alive?
Nope. No, they sure weren't. Carl
I was kidding.
Was 39 years old at his death.
Well, that escalated quickly. I feel like he was 32, like, yesterday.
Yeah, that was before. He was 32 before he went into the one prison where he tried to break out, and then he spent 5 years there. Yeah. So he was 39 years old at his death. Quote,
how the fuck? He got away with that shit for literally, like, people die naturally at, like, 40 years old.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Quote, I have lived 36 years in this world, and soon I expect to leave it. All that I leave behind me is smoke, death, desolation, and damnation. Which I would agree with. Carl, you dumb fuck.
You left a lot of fucking trauma and all that shit too, big guy.
Yep.
Boy, did you leave a mark.
Yep. He went by the names John O'Leary, Jeff Davis, Jeff Rhodes, Jeff Baldwin, Jack Allen, and Carl Panzram. And at the time of his death, he had been convicted of 22 murder. He had claimed that he had committed. He has no idea how many burglaries, arsons, and assaults that he had done. He has no idea. 22 murders and over 1,000 acts of sodomy on young boys and men.
There's definitely more than that.
There's definitely more than that. Yep. But that's what he claims. And like I said, and I have said, I believe what he has to say in here because they have been able to back everything he's saying up, or most of the things, with facts and evidence. So I believe that. I don't believe he's only at 22 murders. I believe he is much, much higher than that.
He wasn't counting. He didn't give a fuck.
Mm-mm. Those were the ones he could remember.
He remembered the ones that. Yeah, he remembers the big ones.
First
the ones
one,
that,
like the men when he's a pirate, like the men in Africa who he watched, like he remembers, or those last couple, those last few that he ended up getting caught for, like George McMahon, that Alexander Uzek, and then that teenage boy in Baltimore that had no name. Like those are the ones he remembers because they were important. They were the ones that got him caught.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then there's other ones that I guarantee he caused the death of, and he just didn't know. He could have injured them so badly and then just pieced out, and they were.
I would say I'm willing to bet he would be in like the triple digits.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah. He was all over the fucking place. There's no way in hell.
You think he only killed those 6 men in Africa?
Oh, dear God, no.
Yeah, it's right. Like,
no one mattered to him.
Say, quote, like, only assaulted that one boy that went and told on him. Like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, right.
I would be willing to bet that he would be in the 300 or the triple digits if we were able to like pinpoint every single one of them.
Yeah, if everyone knew it was him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah. Fuck him. I'm glad we're done.
I am too. I cannot read another word about this motherfucker. I'm so sick of this fucking guy.
Edit this now.
That's not my problem. I'm all done. I did my job.
I'm just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it raw. I ain't editing shit.
At least cut out that part where your microphone fell when you went to the bathroom.
No, that was fun.
No, it wasn't. It was very loud. I was also watching TikTok, and I'm pretty sure that...
Oh, yeah, it's all on there.
Yeah. So I think we should maybe knock that out.
Oh, nope. Leaving it raw.
Anyways.
You're welcome.
Folks, this is why I need a freaking minute. We are going to be coming back with something much more lighthearted than this rat bastard. And I'm not going to do anything tonight now because I'm so just I'm tired of Carl. Like listen, I'm 30 fucking 4. I'm 34 years old. Okay? Half of 100% of the shit that Carl had done by the time he was 35, I can't imagine how you would even have enough fucking time for.
I don't know.
And for him to be executed by the time he's 39, I don't have time for that. That's so much. Carl is doing so much extra, and I am so tired of this. I was tired just reading about him. Like, I can't imagine being him and actually doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I got tired reading about him. That tired me out. Listening to him, just working in oil fields and working on those ships, and then also trying to con everybody and remember his fucking story. And it's just, God, I got tired. Carl, I got tired, you fucker.
Yeah, but homie made it until 39 with all of that.
He sure did.
I don't know. I can't, I suck at already keeping secrets, man. There's no way in hell I could have kept all that shit in me.
Well, what did he have? How many? Let me double check. I think he had 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6. So he had 6 different names that he would go by, right?
Yeah,
most
J's.
of them
They're all
Jeff,
J's,
apparently, right?
Literally, almost all of them are J's.
There's.
Oh,
they all are. John O'Leary, Jeff Davis, Jeff Rhodes, Jeff Baldwin, Jack Allen, and then
Carl wasn't his choice.
It's like, come on, man. No. Apparently he really liked the name Jeff, though.
J thing, yeah.
3 of them being
Jeff said.
Jeff. I don't
Never
know,
mind.
but
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna say. How'd you know? Yep.
I know.
Yep.
I know that.
Yeah.
I just know you so well. Yeah. So, anyways, that is why I need a minute. I hope you join us next week for something much happier.
You're gonna make me do a fucking cryptid, aren't you? Or an alien.
Yep.
Ah, shit.
Yep. It's not going to be a crime one. Dude, I think I have done enough crime
asking
for a minute.
Crime.
I can have something. I can have something
I don't
fun
know, man.
for what,
you made me believe about a whole ass house.
Story, maybe.
No,
that's true.
You can't.
I don't think I can get you again this quickly, though. I think I need to give it some more time because I think you would catch on to what I was doing far too quickly.
No, we're not ever going to pretend any of that again. This is true.
I'm the one that makes the stories.
Facts.
I'm the one that makes the stories, Chelsea.
I'm the one who edits it. And I got a whole lot of stuff recorded of you that I could just make a whole episode.
Yeah, you do have a lot of voice clips of me, don't you?
There's a lot that I got in my vault.
Anyways, follow us on our socials. Find our Patreon. We're on there too.
Well, Chelsea's working on the Patreon. Just let her have her mental let her have her mental situations calm down, and then there'll be a Patreon post.
Then we will get to Patreon
because I deleted the other ones.
Okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out. Find our socials.
Yeah, well,
Facebook, Insta.
Yeah,
Facebook and Insta.
Yeah, we're on almost everything. You know what? We're at this point that we're just doing this as a hobby. So if you find us, you find us.
Yep. But if you sponsor us, or if you want to sponsor us, we are poor, and so that might be nice.
I feel like poor is an understatement.
I know, right? Oh well, we're living the millennial dream.
You're living with a fireplace right now.
Yeah, without
my
heat,
ass.
Like a freaking, Carl could be living in my goddamn living room.
Brett could be, or in your basement.
Yeah, well,
or your attic.
Ew! Oh God! Oh my God! Those are the scariest stories I think that I've ever heard.
Oh, I know.
Those people that live in your house. I'm not doing that. Yeah. I have one in my brain right now though that I could do, but I'm not doing that because I can't. Carl gives me nightmares already. I can't just do another one right now.
No, we can save that for a different time. But yeah,
we're gonna do something fun for a little bit. There's gonna be some cryptids, some ghosties, maybe some odd crime ones that aren't like so like dark. Maybe a good heist. I love a good heist. I love a good heist. Maybe some hauntings, aliens.
Yeah.